Imagine your business plan thrown off tracks because of one delay, 1 month lost, stress out of the roof, and cost piling out of control. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. So in today's episode, I want to share with you guys the insight of Rōe Co, what I have been up to lately, and share all of those mini struggles that can have an impact on how you actually move forward. So let's go through this little episode together. So as I had mentioned in my previous episode, I had tested quite a few suppliers before moving forward with the one I actually chose. So that has been a very smooth experience. We've tried different types of inserts, different types of products. So it was a lot of prototype testing, different formats, sizes, material, fabric, different stuff. So once one step was approved, we would then move on to the next one. So it took a little bit of time, but that was the time that was necessary to bring the perfect inserts for heel wearers. So that was very exciting, and I was very excited to move on to the next step. And that was such a relief to have the prototype validated, because that was a huge tick, because that was the main thing that I had to focus on at that point. So that was a huge relief, or at least that's what I thought, because next thing was agreeing on the deadline to get the products delivered to me. We had agreed to have them delivered for early July. That was what was initially planned, and for some reason, the factory was not able to meet that deadline, and so that has had a huge impact on my end, because I had planned everything according to that date. That was a huge hit for me, because I was like, Rush, how are you gonna handle this? And everything seemed so stressful, because as I mentioned previously, I'm still working a full-time job, so I had like that to handle, and then on top of that, those extra delays that I had to handle as fast and as smoothly as possible. So that was weighing on me. I needed to find out how we could work together and have the best compromise possible, basically. The delay in production was stressing me a lot, because we had initially agreed to have the order delivered to me early July. I had planned the marketing campaign according to that date. And now when that date is not the same anymore, and not only that, it was not only delayed, I just didn't know when I would expect the delivery. So that was an extra weight on me, because not know how to communicate on my socials, because the product was coming, but I didn't know when, and there were absolutely no way of finding out at that time. The factory was very vague with me, without really giving me a date, because of what happened previously. They said they would meet one deadline and they didn't do it the next time, just to avoid this type of situation. So I had no visibility basically on when the order would come in. That threw me off it as well, and we had to plan different strategy in terms of communication, showing a little bit of behind the scenes, a little bit of tease as well. So it was, I was communicating, but I just didn't know how. I was just doing, okay, let's do this, try this, and see where it goes. So it was, even for me, I was, and people were asking me, oh, Rush, when can we get the order? And I was like, I'm sorry guys, but I cannot tell you when. And this was also stressing me out. I'm not someone who's usually stressed, but this was taking a toll on me, because I didn't have the answers to questions that I was myself asking. So voila. Another struggle I went through is I had a few inserts that I could share with friends and clients as well. I don't know if you know, but I am based in Switzerland, and Switzerland is not part of the EU. It is in Europe, but it's not in the EU. And I had to send this pair of insoles to someone not in Switzerland, another country in Europe. I was shocked when I found out how much the shipping cost was. It was actually more than the actual product. That was another hit that I had to handle, and I just didn't know how to handle that because I was not expecting that at all. I don't even know what I was expecting, to be honest. You know, you face things that you didn't expect in the first place. You know, it took me a little bit of time to actually digest that, and you know, as I said, I'm still working a full-time job. I don't have time to actually go to the post office and find out why this was this much. So if you're ever wondering how I faced all these challenges that were thrown my way, first what I started by doing is actually making a list of where my priorities were. It was way too much for me to handle everything when I didn't have proper answers, when I didn't know why certain things were happening or how I could prevent or do differently. So I had to take a moment, and because I just realized that I was like stressing over things that I had no control over. So I just took that time to reflect on what I could basically do differently, or at least look for answers where I can find them. And that really at least helped me to just put things that are out of my control and give them, this happened, do this happened, do this. And it actually gave me a little bit of peace of mind. So that is something that I would highly recommend you doing if you're facing similar challenges. So if I come back to the delay with the orders, I would say that that has actually brought me in a position where I had to think outside of the box kind of, and pivot everything that you had made or put into place. So we had a certain plan of action, and in the end we did something a little bit different just to make sure that we still provide some type of content, some type of insight, some type of tips, something that we can deliver while we wait for the product to arrive. So it has been very interesting because I mean, I know kind of I can adapt to different type of situation, but when, as I said previously, when you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. You just become a bit more creative, do things differently, go out of your comfort zone. You know, I've done things that I was maybe not comfortable doing in the first place, but then after you kind of get used to it because you do things that are quite uncomfortable to you. And in the end, it doesn't seem as overwhelming as you actually thought it would. I'm not saying I want to live those type of experience over and over again, but you know, you take lessons, you learn your lessons from the things you experience. Voila. Those challenges I mentioned earlier, those were somehow out of my control, and it actually made me realize that I actually need to take some time for myself because I was slowly losing it. It was very, very intense. Maybe, you know, those challenges needed to happen so that I could maybe, you know, just let go of certain things. It was not an enjoyable experience. And lately, I started, you know, seeing my friends again. And, you know, I still have my moments where I go through different types of emotions and stress taking over, and those type of things still do happen. I'm starting to let go a little bit of that every day just to protect my peace of mind and my sanity. So these have been the challenges that I've been facing lately. So that way I get to share with you a little bit of insight of what you actually see on Instagram. So voila. And as I always say, make sure that every step that you take is confident and comfortable. Voila. Again, don't be shy, leave a comment, subscribe, and like this video. Until next time, take care of yourself. Bisous, bisous.